up, people in the interwebs? Hope you have an amazing day and welcome back to Kirsty J. We are here. We have upgraded slightly. We have pulled out my ring light camera and I've got my little microphone. So hopefully, maybe the audio is a bit better, but let me know if it is or isn't. But I want to talk about weight loss again and the side effects of losing weight. So come join me with my cup of tea and we're going to talk about the before and after of losing weight. What is my body like? What is life like after losing 20 kilograms in Japan? Let's dive on in. Okay, so number one is with losing weight. I'm cold all the time. That one is very, very true. If you lose a good chunk of weight, you are going to feel a lot colder. I feel cold all the time, especially in winter. I feel so much more colder. I have to definitely make sure I'm wearing a good couple of layers and make sure I have my big coat on. So, but it makes sense because extra weight, it's a thermal layer. So you lose that thermal layer, then yeah, you're going to feel more cold. So being cold is definitely real. I've seen other videos before about weight loss, and the one I always thought like, yeah, that can't be true, is going down a shoe size. That one is actually really real, and that one really surprised me because I was a size 8 or a UK size 8. I think that's a US 10, and now I'm a UK 7. What's that in? Is that a US 9? I'm not too sure, but I've gone down a shoe size, which really shook me, which also isn't a too bad thing because sometimes size 8 was also sometimes a little bit hard. So being down a size is actually kind of nice because it's a bit more easier to get some shoes I like now. So that's not too bad. And for living in Japan, that's actually even better now because before I definitely couldn't fit into women's shoes at all in Japan. But now maybe I might be the biggest size that they do for women's shoes in Japan now. It's not all the time. I think I'm now 26.5 centimeters. I'm still horrible at the whole shoe conversion here because I don't often buy shoes. And to be honest, I tend to just go into the men's size because it's just a bit easier. Especially, I tend to just buy trainers and stuff. But anyway, I'm pretty sure now I'm 26.5 centimeters. Which means for, depending on the department I go to for women's shoes now, I'm just on the cusp because for women's shoes here, it's about 26.5 is the biggest they go. So for living in Japan, that's actually a result because I can kind of get into some of the ladies' shoes now, which is actually quite nice because one big thing I regretted with coming to Japan was not bringing any boots. So that was my faux pas. Number 3. Skinny privilege is real, very, very real. I have noticed a real big difference on how society treats you with being skinnier. They do definitely treat you a lot nicer. I definitely get a lot more compliments, which is very, very interesting. But it's also like a reverse compliment as well because I've reached a point with it like, yes, I know I have lost weight. And I go to school, I haven't seen anyone for a while and their first response is, oh my god, you've lost weight and you look skinnier, blah 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 blah. And don't get me wrong, it's a nice compliment, but I've heard it 20 bazillion times now and I'm getting a little bit tired. You know, there's more to me than my body alone, so let's change it. I'm a bit tired. Like, I'm very grateful for people giving me a compliment because they're actually just trying to say you've worked hard to change and blah 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 blah. But it's also, I've just reached the point I'm tired of hearing it. Like, there's more to me than a body, and I always find it's a really, the whole weight loss is always a really interesting conversation because I still think when people go, you need to treat someone who they are based on the person inside, which is very true, but I still think unconsciously people, how you look on the outside, it will still affect how people act and behave towards you, regardless on how much you go on their personality. And it's just a kind of sucky thing. I don't really know what is the answer to fix it. You know, just be kind to everyone you meet is probably the biggest thing. But I don't know, the whole idea of the person body, especially how big or how small, how much it can affect how a person is going to act towards you is really, really interesting. Because there's one comment I got with my quick short I uploaded with just saying, like, showing the before and after. And someone put, well, what was it? I think it was I need to get it up because it really kind of caught my. Oh yeah, this was the comment. It really caught me for a bit, and I kind of pondered on it for a little bit. Was, do you feel better for it? Do you feel better for losing the weight? Which is really, it's a really interesting concept, because you do hear sometimes people go they preferred who they were before or the change. And for me, I definitely like that I am more like physically fitter. You know, I like that I can kind of walk for longer, I can go upstairs for longer, I can just do things like for longer and I'm not as tired. I like being stronger. I like that I'm nowhere near to doing a full pull up, but I do like if I grab the bars, you know, I can dangle on there for a bit. I can kind of readjust my body. I can kind of like swing back and forth. You know, I like that I can kind of hold myself up with my muscles. So, you know, the overall element of just being healthier and fitness in general is, I like that very much. But the society side, I don't know how much I like about the society side. Like, I don't know how much I feel about the whole like skinny and pretty privilege, and you know, people being a lot nicer to you, people always commenting about my weight now, regardless of the, oh, you've lost weight, or oh, this and this. You know, I come into school and they go, I know there's also a language barrier, but if they do try and speak to me, one of the comments most times is, oh, you've lost some more weight, oh, you're looking stronger, oh, you've lost weight. It's always a constant mentioning about my body, which it's, you know, I appreciate the comment, and they're trying to be nice of like, you're doing good in yourself, you know, you're improving oneself. But I don't know, I just kind of feel like there's more to me than a body, you know. We can talk about something else. I also don't like condescending comments, and I mean that the people at school aren't being condescending at all. They are just being friendly. But there's people in my kind of inner circle of like people who I spend more on a daily basis. You know, I feel sometimes their comments are a bit condescending. Like there was one person who was like, "Oh, I just don't know how you can do it. I don't know how you can go to the gym every day and work on yourself like that. I just don't know how." And it's like, well, you just do it. That's it. End of. If you really want it, you go. I know it's a mental minefield sometimes, but you know, you just have to get up and go. And there's so many elements to it. And I just find that kind of comment really condescending. You know, I'm putting in the work. I don't need a kind of condescending comment like that of like, oh, well, I couldn't do that. I couldn't go to the gym every day. What you're doing is this. And it's like, well, if you wanted it, you can. So, you know, you don't need to be condescending to me, please. You can go away. Thank you very much. You know, I've had some rude comments before as well. I had someone they saw like a picture of me before and they were like, oh, here is Fatso now, here is Fatty Boom Boom. This person, you know, Kirsty now is very skinny, you know, this was Fat Kirsty, here's Fatty Boom Boom. And it's like, all these comments are just, they're unnecessary. It's just rude at the end of the day, regardless of what the person was before and now, you know, they're still the same person. You don't have to be such an asshole. So it's definitely interesting, I think, and it will always be an interesting element that I will probably continue seeing is how society reacts to you losing weight. Because even one that's also a little bit interesting is I went on it's a bit, you can have a bit of my insider life, is I went on a couple of dates in Japan and seeing the guys' reaction to, so because sometimes I would show them like some photos of me losing the weight, or on my driving license and stuff, sometimes they'd see if I'd pull out my wallet, you know, they see the pictures of my, when, you know, before losing the weight, and they always had like kind of like a shock reaction of like, oh, I didn't realize like you used to look like that, sort of thing. So it's just, again, it's just really interesting on how society reacts to the whole losing weight and how they treat you after. I think for me, that's always going to be the interesting element, and I think it's really hard to explain because I think unless you go through a big weight loss change, you don't really know how to like describe it to other people, because you know, people definitely do treat you differently. And I think trying to describe it to people sometimes is hard, and I think they take it the wrong way. Like I've tried to describe it to a few of my friends, and I just always feel like they never quite understand the journey of how people can kind of just mentally just kind of change their whole attitude and personality towards you just because your body is different. And it's going to be a journey that I think is going to continue. You know, I still actually want to lose more weight. You know, I'm about 80 kgs. I do want to lose another about 10k of kgs. I don't know if it's going to show up on the scale. I know I want to lose about 10 kg of fat and maybe turn that into muscle. So I think the fat's going to turn into muscle. But you know, there's still more things I want to do, and I still think society's going to mention or put a comment on it anyway. Which, you know, is fine. You know, I've got a thick skin. I also just find it really interesting because my degree was psychology. How humans interact to things is always interesting. So yeah, we'll see how it goes going forward. But yeah, I just think how society reacts to weight loss is always a interesting response and comment, and it's probably going to continue. So we'll see how it goes, and if any more interesting stories come out of it, I'll let you know, because I find it interesting just how one person perceives based on physical appearance. And then probably my last one I want to mention that was like a massive kind of culture shock, or just kind of like a shock in general, is I went back to the UK for the first time in 3 years since living in Japan. And before I left for Japan, in the UK, I was about a size XL. So coming back to the UK, I did a little bit of clothes shopping. And then when I first got there, I was a bit like, Christ, I have no idea what size I could be in the UK now. I have no idea. So I grabbed like a couple of, I just grabbed some like white t-shirts just to kind of check what is my new size. And for me, I had like a massive shock that I was getting into kind of mediums in the UK. I could do a few smalls, but they were a little bit tight. You know, medium was more comfortable overall. And for me, that kind of felt like a massive shock, because when leaving, I was an XL. Coming back, getting into a size medium was like, okay, wow, I definitely have lost quite a lot of weight since living in Japan. So that was a big shock for me as well, to kind of have that realization snap of going from an XL to a medium. Because I think when you go back to your home country, it kind of hits a lot more. Because living in Japan, you know, they're a skinny country in general. When I'm looking for clothes, I don't really go much on the sizes, because it's like, there's just skinnier in general. Their sizing is more for smaller people. So I'm just like, you know what, this fits, this works, I'm going to take it. You know, I don't really go on the numbers too much. Or even if I see like it says medium, I'm a bit like, I don't really take it like as a true medium, because I'm like, well, Japan's smaller in general, their clothes are smaller. I don't trust it. So when you go back to your home country where you know, like, this is the kind of sizings you had, you know, this is how your brain kind of measures. This is like your baseline of how you kind of recognize the size, weight, numbers, you know, size for milk, money in general, you know, all that kind of information. You know, your home country is your kind of base knowledge for all these other things. And when you go to another country, you kind of have to change it to the new one. But you always use your home country as like the baseline. So going back, that was kind of definitely where I felt like, okay, yeah, I have lost a lot of weight. So it was really interesting. But yeah, those are some few things I've noticed with losing weight. If you too have also lost a lot of weight and you've noticed how people have treated you differently, let me know in the comments down below, because I'd really love to know your stories. And I think there's a community here, because I think if anyone's going to understand how you're feeling, I will definitely be one of them, because it's real. People do treat you differently once you lose the weight. But yeah, let me know if you've just enjoyed this video overall. If you want maybe some fitness, food advice, or just fitness things in general, or you don't really know where to start or what to do, let me know and I'll try and see if I can help out. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!